Back on Morning Line, Dr. Calvin Smith with us, talking some of the latest about COVID, where we stand, and some of the people still asking questions about a woman who couldn't stay on the line, who does have COVID, who is dealing with loss of taste and smell. Kind of, without getting too technical, what is it that, again, and we've talked about it before, causes that loss?
So I actually was at a dinner party with some doctors the other day, and we were talking about the fact that, initially I think a lot of people were thinking that this was affecting the olfactory nerve. The olfactory nerve is one of the 12 nerves that comes off of your brain that has specialized sense. It basically is your sense of smell.
Gotcha.
Okay, and we were thinking that it had an affinity for the olfactory bulb, and I think I can't retain every little bit of what we talked about, but I think that we kind of had pinpointed, and scientists have been able to pinpoint that it was actually directly related to the olfactory bulb. So the bulb does taste and smell together. And
so somehow the virus affects these nerve endings, and sometimes they come back quick. Some people have it, lose their taste of sense and smell for a day, and it's back the next day. And I know someone personally who's now going on 8 or 9 months without getting it back. It's just, what, people are different?
People are different. People are different. Our compositions are different. You might have run across a different version of, just like we are all different. Some of these viruses might have a little tweak here and there, which is why we get these strains. It
doesn't necessarily then destroy it. You think it, stunts it. Is your belief that with time, and it may be a year or two, eventually some degree of it returns, or do we think in some cases the virus has literally destroyed those nerve endings?
Well, so we talk about differences in people, right? Nerves, the different cells in the body have differences too. And nerve cells are remarkable, but they grow very slowly. And they deal with change very slowly. And they deal with damage very slowly. So some people, just like we've had people who have had remarkable recoveries from spinal injuries,
right?
Same deal, it's the same type of cells. So some people will bounce back quicker than others. It really depends on the makeup of your cells and, a lot of other factors. I'm a big believer in promoting healing factors, eating healthy, trying to avoid things that would make your situation worse, like diabetes. So people who take good care of their bodies.
The better health you are, the better chance your body will be strong enough to bounce back. That's true of everything when it comes to health. Let's go to Linda. Linda, good morning. Hi, Linda.
Good morning. This may be a question for my surgeon, but I just wanted the doctor's opinion of this. I've already had my booster shot in mid-December, and I'm looking at surgery in June. And I'm going to have a stay in the hospital and then some rehab facility. So should I get my booster, another booster, or contact my surgeon about what I should do? I do have diabetes and I do have asthma. So I will listen to what he has to say. Thank you.
Okay. So I guess she's had her first booster. I'm taking maybe that she's thinking about getting a second one because there's not a third one available.
Yeah, so she said she got her first booster in December. It looks like everything's kind of lining up. It's kind of in a gray area as far as the timeline is concerned because, our guidance had been set 6 to 9 months. And she's going to be right up on that. If she were my patient, I think just based on her risk factors and everything like that, I would be on the fence about it. I kind of would be yes or no, and I'm leaning towards no for her, to be honest.
Right now,
just to get
with all the other things going on.
All the other things going on, because stress is a major, it's a major stress. Being a diabetic in and of itself, dealing with the post-operative complications of diabetes, I would say to really make the focus on getting the blood sugars well controlled, making sure that everything's optimized from that standpoint, and at this point, as far as surgical procedures and rehab facilities, I mean, I've been very impressed with, my father's been going through some health issues and challenges. I've been very impressed with how they have managed and handled.
So she should be safe. It's not like going through this is going to expose her to COVID.
Exactly. I think she's probably in very good shape. And I want to give a shout out really quickly to all of our people that have been working in ICUs and in our hospitals, because this has taken a toll on them personally. And they have really given their heart and soul to protecting people, and we're to the point now where people can think about having elective procedures and go back and then doing the things that we were doing before. So it's
so
amazing.
many people were waiting. And Linda, I think that's great advice from the doctor. But again, as always, too, as you would say, run that by your doctor.
Yeah.
Just see. He knows your condition and say, what do you think, doc? And he knows it more intimately, and he can tell you one way or the other. Someone else was calling in and didn't stay on, but says that they are going to probably go get their booster shot, and at the same time they thought they'd get their shingles vaccine. Does that, and getting both at the same time, what do you think?
So it's kind of controversial in that there's no, from what I know, and from what I've read and from what I've understood, there's not a whole lot of literature that says that you necessarily have to get them separately. And if you think back to, again, childhood, when kids would go in, they would get things on a schedule, but you know, you would get like 4 or 5 shots in one visit. I've administered on my pediatrics rotations, you know, 3 or 4 shots, you know, at the same time. So it's not unreasonable to think that you can get both at the same time. I think that we were erring on the side of caution in that, you know, again, because people had a pretty robust reaction from the immune standpoint at the beginning of the vaccination phases. Like, you know, we were trying to really make sure and isolate. In science, we do a lot of things to avoid what we call confounders, things that might confuse the study, things that might make you, that you might attribute, hey, this works. And then you find out, well, it worked because you ate a stick of butter previously. You know, it's something stupid like that, right? So we want to try to avoid as many confounders as possible when we're studying things. And we were definitely still kind of, you know, I mean, we found it to be safe. We were still studying what would occur.
So if you choose to play it safe, would you take a week between them?
I would take a week between. I don't think there's any harm in taking a week between, especially something like the shingles that's kind of indolent.
What's your take on shingles vaccines?
Shingles vaccine is very effective.
Have you had a vaccine?
I haven't had a need of it yet.
What?
I haven't had a need of it yet because I'm not at the age, but.
What age do you need to take it?
So the shingles vaccine, oh man, now I feel like
well, I mean, is it, because over 50 or 60?
Yeah, over 50.
Okay, but all right, see, I had chicken pox.
Yes.
So that means I may have it in me. Now, I've never had anyone in my side of the family have it. Now, my wife had what they thought was a very mild case, and she went and then got her shingles.
Yeah.
So if you don't really have any history of it, do you still think it?
So shingles is a reactivation of chickenpox.
Okay,
so absolutely, if you've had chickenpox.
Well, most people have had chickenpox.
Most people had chickenpox. I grew up in the era of chickenpox parties and all this kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, me too.
So, you know, yes, definitely when you become of age, and I'm looking really bad here because I don't know the age off the top of my head.
Okay.
I usually go to my up to date. Shout out to my students. But I will say this: if you've had the chickenpox, you are. The shingles is living comfortably.
Same thing if you had chickenpox vaccine?
Chickenpox vaccine, yes, even still.
So either way, still, most
because you may have been exposed to varicella to chickenpox.
And now, if I got shingles, I mean, it just hurts, right?
Oh, it's pretty bad. So you don't want the shingles.
I know, I don't want it. So it's worth it as a prophylactic, even though I probably may never get it, but it's a protection against it.
And so if you get sick and you get immunocompromised later on in your life, which most people, if they're lucky enough to live long enough, do stand that chance of becoming sick, you know.
Okay, I better get my shingles shot.
The shingles loves to come in at the worst time while you're sick already with something else and say, hey, you know, I'm back from my vacation in your spine and I'm gonna come and directly affect, you know, your stomach and make you exposed, and it opens up your skin to more infections. It's not what you want.
What the heck activates any virus? Years ago, I thought I had mono. I had run myself too down. I ended up with Epstein-Barr virus, which I don't know if you're. It's associated to some degree with chronic fatigue. Mono is maybe a similar thing. It freaked me out, and it literally drained me of energy in college for a good 6 to 9 months. I functioned, but I couldn't play racquetball, sports, anything that I was into. And then, so Epstein-Barr is somewhere in my body to this day.
Yeah. It is. It's inactive.
So you know what I learned from that?
What did you learn?
Is that I learned to listen to my body.
Okay.
And when I feel myself getting so exhausted or tired, I shut it down.
Yeah.
Not because, because I don't want to give any of these dormant, awful, crappy, you know, viruses to wake up and say, oh, Nick's got weak enough, let's get out of the cage and wreak havoc again. Yeah. Is that kind of the way to look at it? I've learned to give my body time to rest sometimes, because there was a time where I was hyperkinetic. Some people think I still am, but not the way I was. And I learned about my body from Epstein-Barr.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, our bodies are remarkable. We're very resilient. We bounce back from a lot of things. And I think, you know, in terms of how we thought about COVID and how we think about it right now, to be honest with you, a lot of people say, well, look, you know, we've been dealing with this for 2 years. We have bounced back from it. I know people, I've heard people say this. I know people that had COVID and they had no problem at all, you know, and most people that I know had COVID had no problem at all. And to a great extent, they are correct.
Yes.
A lot of people are going to deal with COVID just fine. But again, it's thinking about the people around you, and to your point, people that have other disease processes that, you know, they may have defeated, it may be indolent, it may be gone and eradicated altogether, but took a toll on their body. Okay, so you don't know what the next man has been dealing with.
So
the
you
next
think
man
once
or
you
woman has
have
been dealing
COVID,
with.
though, do you have it in your body the rest of your life? Somewhere?
That's a tough,
dormant?
I mean, just based on long haul symptoms and things like that, I don't know if it's based on damage or if it's based on the actual virus.
Right.
My thinking and my leanings would be towards damage to the cells, to the endothelial linings and things like that, more so than the virus being around. I don't think the virus is that hardy where it's going to live and propagate in the body for that long without manifestations later on. But we'll see. You know, things like, look at HIV, right? HIV starts an initial infection at the very outset. So like when you're infected with HIV, you get a mild flu, and then it chills, goes into the Langerhans cells, goes into other cells, and just does its thing as far as doing damage to the T cells.
T cells, and it has to get to a certain level before it's full-blown AIDS. I know you're a sports fan, but I've been watching on Apple TV the special on Magic Johnson.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it. You should check it out. I mean, I've always been a Magic fan.
So I'm watching Winning Time.
Oh yeah. I got to check that one out. I've heard that's controversial. I mean, the way they portray some of them. But Magic is just incredible in that. I remember when he, to this day, the day they announced he was HIV positive, and at the time they thought it was a death sentence. And now Magic Johnson's in his early 60s, and the man is a mogul, and he has had an amazing career and influenced so many lives outside of what he did on the basketball court, which in my opinion, he's on the Mount Rushmore of best players of all time. But I just bring that up to say that it seems like HIV now, if you take care of yourself and get the proper meds, it was once a death sentence, now it's a chronic disease. Yeah,
it's a chronic disease that people are living with, but it comes at cost.
Oh, sure. So it's not something like, oh, no big deal if I get it.
No, absolutely. I mean, you know, but the fact that someone like Magic Johnson was brave enough to come out and let people know, because there are a lot of people that live with diseases that you know, and for their own privacy, for their own sakes, don't share. And there's no, I'm not judging that. But for someone like Magic Johnson to be able to come out and say that did a lot for a lot of people.
He was a face of it when he came out to raise awareness, and I think he's an incredible human being. Let's go to Effie. Effie, good morning. Hi, Effie.
Hello.
Hello. What's on your mind?
Oh, maybe like 5 to 6 months after the COVID came out. I had it in September and October, and 2 days in ICU. But there was 3 other people in my house, and I just wonder where it came from, how they didn't catch it.
Oh, okay. How old are you, if you don't mind my asking?
Oh, I don't mind at all. 73.
Okay, and you sound good. You recovered, which is fantastic. And
thank you.
Well, thank you for calling. Yeah, I know people, and she just thinks that one person has it in the house, and I know a husband and wife where the wife got it really bad, and the husband didn't isolate. He stayed, slept in the bed, took care of her and all this. And didn't get it.
I mean, so a lot of different factors. Extraordinary luck certainly could play a part in it. If people are generally, if you're doing good hand hygiene, wearing masks, things like that, now even in a house, like in a household, you know, I mean, you got your family members that wash their hands after every little thing, you know what I mean? So those kind of habits probably protect people. And then there are some people that just likely got it and brushed it off, asymptomatic. And there's there's no evidence that they had it. You know, I mean, I can't explain it. I know that certain people were more prone to more severe disease than others, and a lot of people brushed off the initial symptoms like, oh, I had this, that, and the other, and probably had a mild symptomatic version of it and just didn't know. I think that's probably the more likely thing.
Very interesting. You know, I remember you and I would call you even, and I remember you went to a Falcons game, and I called you and said, I'm thinking about going to the Titans game. What do you think? It's outdoors. And you said, yes. This was back when. Of since, I put myself, and I didn't think about it, in a situation. Rick and I went to the Final Four in New Orleans, and that was as packed of an indoor venue in this the NCAA basketball championship.
Yeah.
Final Four and the final game.
Yeah.
And walking out, and I'm telling you, I thought to myself, if I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it here.
Yeah.
No one was wearing a mask. I did for a while, and then I just didn't either. And you're indoors, and it was packed. And in the stairwells, packed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it freaked me out a bit.
Yeah.
And knock on wood, I didn't get it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I guarantee you there were people there that had to be infected.
Yeah.
And I didn't get it. Could be the vaccine protected me. Could be I had incredible luck. Could be that I'm healthy enough that it didn't manifest itself.
All of those things.
Okay. Well, it was insane, and it scared me. But I went through with it, and I didn't get it, and Rick didn't get it. But I mean, it doesn't mean I'm completely letting down my guard. And I've got to think. I might think twice before I go to a heavy-duty crowd again, just because I spent the next 2 weeks worried and thinking about it. I'm like, I'm just going to wait some more. I'm kind of done with huge crowds in general, anyway.
Well, Nick, I might be in the minority amongst my colleagues, but I really agree very much with the way that you look at it, in terms of like we're at a point now where we understand the options are there.
Yeah.
You can get vaccinated or not, but we know what happens when you become sick.
Yeah.
We know what happens if you become sick and unvaccinated, what the likelihood is versus somebody that's vaccinated.
So we're balancing,
and we're balancing all those things out. And so the majority of people, I think, if we're looking out for the next person in situationally wearing a mask, I don't wear a mask everywhere, obviously, anymore. But when I go to the grocery store, I try to err on the side of wearing a mask.
Okay.
When I go to somewhere, like I haven't been to a concert or a crowded sporting event that was indoors yet.
Let's take a break. I want you to follow up. We have to go up on the break on that, but you make a good point too. I didn't get it from the thousands I was around, but I suppose I could get it from one person in line at the Kroger, just as happenstance. So you do what you can. We'll take a break, be back with a few more calls, and I'll let you finish your thought right after this. Stay with us.
There was just something so different about that night.
Our eyes are now